Good morning, everyone. Welcome to. Wait, I just realized that my hair is so bad. Anyway, well, it's almost non-existent, but anyway. Welcome to From Chef to Dudda, and as always, this is your lovely host Jasper. And if you haven't met before, well, thank you for tuning in. This is already our 12th episode. Yes, and with that, I would like to thank all of those guys who are watching this whole journey. And it's really quite an experience to have this documented on a weekly basis. But, well, as you can see, I'm all alone in the car. Because this is my only time from shopping, which is, yeah, this is your adulthood shopping list. With, yeah, just sharing a bit of insights with what happened, with what's happening pretty much. Right, so I'm not going to talk about the lovely Jazz today. I'm going to talk about the parents. Without the other one, without the other half. So it's quite interesting really how the dynamics worked out between me and my lovely partner. So it's quite a topsy-turvy ride, to say the least. And it's also it's quite of a challenge, really. Well, the main challenge here is like who gets more breaks. Kidding. Well, actually, one challenge is to how make sure that we keep ourselves sane. Yeah, I can say that. That's one of the challenges. And it's quite difficult because one day one might not feel the best, one not feel 100%, the other not feel the same. And it's really that balance just to make sure that someone is sleeping enough, the other one as well. And then if ever someone needs to do another thing, then you can easily pass it on to the other. So it's really more of a ping pong. pass. But yeah, the probably the one thing that I wished I had was another person or another set of hands where you can just like, all right, there's another form of help, just for you to be able to do normal things like shopping in peace, getting off to your appointments, having someone to rest a bit longer than you should. Because those are the things that we really took for granted before. I said, like, if you had time before, once you get a kid, well, you wouldn't have that anymore. Because most of the time, like, you're old, unless she's really in that point we're in, she can tend herself to sleep and all that. You really need to keep an eye on the little one, just because that she wouldn't be able to do it at all by herself. So it's a lot of looking after, and it takes a lot of your time. So if someone really needs to be beside it, and she's not to a point where she can sleep like 3 or 4 hours straight, just for you to be like, yeah, okay, we can do this, we can eat together. Well, speaking of eating together, there's actually one of those things that we can't do most of the time now. Because if we're doing shifts, for example, like if Jasmine is meant to sleep already in the night, that's around 6 o'clock, 7. So I need to be sleeping by then, so that I can wake up at around 2 a.m. at the latest, just to grab her from Jessie, so that Jessie can sleep. But ideally, if I try to like sleep at around 9, and that's just a monstrous fail, because then Jessie will have to stay up later. And if Jazz didn't sleep between 9 to say 2 o'clock, yeah, that's gonna be a problem. So it's more of an orchestrated way of trying to figure things out to some degree. And it's quite interesting because one really needs to, it's an alternate thing. If you're watching her, then you should be doing something else. If I'm watching her, then you can do something else. So it's really that's why it's more of a ping pong really. And, oh, it's your turn. Yeah, oh, it's your turn. No, it's my turn. No, it's your turn. What else? Even some things like when we were doing baking, because we're still doing that, and it's still a bit of money that comes in to provide. So it's really difficult because either she will watch, then I will bake the basic ones at least. Your house, your basic cake boxes. And anyway, I can't finish it, so she still ends up finishing it. And sometimes it just doesn't hit the mark. So sometimes there's a couple of misses here and there, and they're like, oh, you should have done that, should have done this. And at the end of the day, it's an hour or two less sleep than yesterday, so it's one of those things. And really, you can't really think of doing a lot more things than your usual routine, because initially, like I was saying, it's not as easy as it looks to like provide enough time for you to like sort of, oh, I want to have a look at this, I want to study this, I want to start cooking this, experimenting on this, yada 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 yada. You just can't. Because like I said, Bub is still not on the stage where you could just leave her in a spot and then she will sleep. No, it doesn't work that way. So, and probably until then, maybe we can work something out. But yeah, it's quite difficult to really, challenging to really put it out there and say like, okay, we will try to plan as much as we can. Just like where the lockdown comes in, and I think it's also one part of it wherein I think it's okay for the meantime, yeah, but yeah, this will not be the most sufficient scenario, or it's not sufficient, not the most ideal scenario really, because I still have to work, he has to come back to work. We're just gonna get probably mentally sick of trying to do the same routine over and over again. There has to be something a bit different, just to as well exercise our skill set. Well, yeah, we really learned a lot during this past couple of weeks, and if there's one thing that I would really put out there is to really check up on each other and see how things are going regularly. And just to make sure that you're trying your really best to support each other, because that's the only way for you to get through. And if you kind of crumble and say like, I'm not gonna do this anymore, then yeah, that's a bit of a thing that you need to work out really. And it's really just about trying to make sure that both of you are on the same page with things, deciding things on the same page, and just making sure that you guys are both okay. So yeah. Thank you very much. Just a few things that I've been going through in the past couple of days. I know you didn't really pick up something from there, but yeah, it's really about communication between the two parents to make things work. Amen. Right, till next week for our week 13 episode. Please like and subscribe if you've got something out of this, and share to your friends for also having bubs, and probably we can pick one or two things from us, and we'll see you next week. Bye.